and welcome back. My name is India and I happen to read a lot, and today we're going to be doing a really fun ranking video. I've never done this before, as you can see on the screen, with a very exciting kind of set of covers and interesting things. Today we're going to be ranking the 21 books of the Hercule Poirot series that I've read so far, and I'm going to give you my recommendations and whether these are worth reading. If you're not a completionist, but you do want to try the Hercule Poirot series, then please do watch this video and I'll tell you what's worth it and what's not. If you are a completionist, please watch the video. Maybe you want to know what my opinions are, but obviously you're going to read them all anyway. But let's jump into it. So as you can see, I'm just turning because I have the screen here. As you can see, we have 5 categories. We have the god-awful category, fucking awful, as it says on the tin, not worth your time at all. Cannot remember a single thing. These tend to be books that are kind of around 3 stars but didn't leave too much of an impression, where I can remember in detail what happened in those books. Fine, again, that's a 3-star kind of rating, the higher 3-star, where they were good. I remember more about it, but didn't blow me away. Then we have the good time 4-star territory. Good time, worth your time, do read them. And then we have the 10 out of 10, no notes. My favourite Poirot books. Starting off, we're going to start off with my first ever book. This is 1 2 Buckle My Shoe. I'm going to put 1 2 Buckle My Shoe in the 10 out of 10 no notes. This is a controversial statement. I would highly recommend the All About Agatha podcast. It is incredibly good. It is so worth your time. It is a bit convoluted, but I think it's a really fun time, and I think it's the best version of Poirot you're going to get out of the first 20 books. For me, I was wholly engaged with him as a character. I think he just feels a little bit more human. He doesn't feel like a cocky, arrogant, I can just solve it, don't worry about me. There feels something interesting about him where he has faults, he has flaws, he's questioning himself. Maybe the plot's a bit convoluted, but I had a really fucking good time. So 10 out of 10 no notes for 1 2 Buckle My Shoe. Then we have Evil Under the Sun. Evil Under the Sun is set in Devon, in an island off in Devon, and this ex-actress who marries rich, everybody's jealous of her, is found dead on the beach. 1 2 Buckle My Shoe is a very complicated mystery about a dentist that dies. Evil Under the Sun is super, super fun. I remember the Peter Ustinov movie more than the book. So when I read the book, I'd watched the Peter Ustinov movie, which is high camp and just a really fun time if you want a good, fun, high camp kind of movie. I did want to read the book. I read it on holiday in my Cyprus vlog, and I was kind of disappointed in regards to what I read, but I think that's because I knew the story already. And some of Christie's books, if you watch the adaptation, they don't have much rereadability. Other times, things are different. Evil Under the Sun for me was one of those books where I wish I went into it not knowing anything. I did like it. I do hate the fact that at the end, one of the characters gives up her entire business for a man. That's icky. So because of that, I am going to put it in the good time. Like, I did have a good time. That's a lie. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to put it in fine. I'm going to put it in fine. Just because I'm now thinking about it and I do hate the ending for one of those female characters. But if you want to watch a good high camp movie, watch the Peter Ustinov Evil Under the Sun. So next up we have Murder on the Orient Express. Now Murder on the Orient Express is kind of, if I have a section, I would put it here. Right? I'd put it between 10 out of 10 no notes and good time 4-star territory. But I am going to put it in 10 out of 10 no notes just because, yes, I read it once I knew what happened. I watched the Albert Finney adaptation and it is very good. Murder on the Orient Express is very good for a lot of reasons. Has no rereadability. No rereadability, because once you find out the reveal at the end of Murder on the Orient Express, the actual book itself is just sitting and talking to a lot of people. There's not actually much else outside of just sitting in one carriage and having a little yapper. So because of that, I don't think it's enjoyable to reread, but I do think the first read through is great. And I do think she crafted something incredibly interesting that at the time, not many people had done. So for legacy reasons, very bottom of 10 out of 10 no notes, but I would say it's more of a good time 4-star territory from my personal reading. Then we have Sad Cypress. So Sad Cypress is a really interesting book because Sad Cypress, normally with Poirot books, he's there at the scene of the crime or just before the crime happens and he solves it in the moment. This has Poirot solving a murder ages after it happened. The main character that he helps is already on trial for the murder, right? So it's not like he's in the moment solving it. It's actually been ages and he is now trying to go back and kind of and solve it after all the evidence has been cleared away, after everything's already happened. Then he's like, let's see what I can do. So it's very different from what you normally get from Poirot. So that is incredibly fun. The thing that lets it down is the ending is god-awful. The ending is god-awful. The twist at the end makes me want to gouge my eyes out, because genuinely I think the ending that I thought it was going to be as I was reading it was 10 out of 10 better than what we were given. And I do think people need to realise that sometimes plot twists for the sake of plot twists aren't that great. Just because you have a plot twist doesn't mean it's a good one. Just because it shocks your readers doesn't mean it was set up well, doesn't mean it was written well. And that is how I feel about the Sad Cypress reveal. Everything else, the characterization, the story, incredible. That plot twist irks me, because that would have been a 10 out of 10 no notes book without a shadow of a doubt. But because of how bad the ending was, it has to go into a good time 4-star territory. Sorry, sad sign. After that, we have Appointment with Death. So Appointment with Death, unfortunately, like Appointment with Death and Murder in Mesopotamia are published very quickly after each other. And I read both of them, boom, boom, right? And it's the same kind of Middle Eastern setting, toxic dynamics at a dig, except from one of them, it's a toxic family dynamic with a stepmom, which I love. The other one is just marriage things. But a lot of it happens at a dig in the Middle East. And because of that, I kind of get the two confused. I kind of get the two confused. So because of that, I have to think, which one do I remember more? And for me, it's both of them. I don't remember both of them. Like, I get those two confused all the time. I'm really, really sorry. It's just they're both being put into... Cannot remember a single thing. I'm really, really sorry. I remember giving them 3 stars, and I remember the ending more of Murder. Do you know what? That's a lie. I'm going to put Murder in Mesopotamia in fine. Murder in Mesopotamia is going to go in fine. And I know that Christie loved a good archaeological dig, but those books are kind of underwhelming. Sorry. Next one, we have Death on the Nile. Death on the Nile, one of the best book adaptations in the world, is the Peter Ustinov Death on the Nile. It's so good. Don't bother with the Kenneth Branagh. Can't comment about the Suchet, but the Ustinov Death on the Nile is incredible. This follows Lynette Doyle, who is murdered on a cruise down the Nile, and it's really complicated because on the cruise is her ex-best friend whose husband she stole. She stole his fiance. She's been stalking her, Jacqueline. She's been stalking Lynette. It's been stressing Lynette out. She's on her honeymoon down a cruise, dead. And everyone's going to go, well, it has to be the best friend. The best friend's out of action, bitches. She's actually been drugged, sedated because of a big breakdown she had earlier on. It's so, so good. Genuinely the best. So it would be remiss of me not to put Death on the Nile in 10 out of 10 no notes. It is incredible. Great characterization, great side plot, great plot. I do think she does a great atmosphere for Death on the Nile. 10 out of 10 no notes for Death on the Nile. Then we have Hercule Poirot's Christmas, and I just want to shout out my sister's ex-boyfriend because I made him watch the Suchet episode adaptation, even though he did not care. Hercule Poirot's Christmas, what I do want to shout out Christie is she knows how to do a good toxic family dynamic. She loves that. She loves a good family power imbalance, and she writes them incredibly well. That's the one thing I would say about Appointment with Death that she does incredibly well. That's the only thing I can remember about... Actually, no, I can remember more about Appointment with Death, and I was disappointed by the ending. But Hercule Poirot's Christmas has an incredible family dynamic. Like, toxic family dynamic, especially with the patriarch. So good. That is the only thing I can remember about Hercule Poirot's Christmas. Nothing else. So that's going to go with cannot remember a single thing. Sorry. That, I also, again, can tell you what the plot is of that. Then we have The Mysterious Affair of Styles, the book that started it all. It's about a woman that's found dead. I cannot really remember too much about what it's about. Sorry if you were going in for this for really in-depth. This is what the book's about. I can't remember. What I do remember is the ending, and the ending blew my mind when I first read it. It's so good. I really, really like how it's done. I remember the characterization being really great. I just can't remember the circumstances surrounding the death. And so because of that, I'm going to put it in fine. Like, I think it's a really good first book. I really like the ending. I did think the characterization was good. But now I'm questioning, I still wouldn't put it in good time 4-star territory. I think it's a good solid start. I think it's a great solid start. Then we have Black Coffee. Black Coffee, because it's weird, because this is counted as canon, but it's based off a play that she wrote that then got turned into a novelization by somebody else. And as a play, not great. As a book, even worse. Barely any character development. I could not tell you what that plot is. I remember being bored. I remember it should have been something that should have taken me less than 24 hours to read. Yet I felt like I was wading through a swamp. Black Coffee, god awful. Don't even bother. Then we have Cards on the Table. Cards on the Table, I actually, weirdly, Poirot gets invited to a bridge party and someone gets murdered at the bridge party, and it's quite juicy because there's only like 5 people there and he has to whittle out who it is. And you do have to kind of understand bridge I think to fully appreciate this book. It has a double whammy of an ending that I didn't see coming, which was really good. Just scrapping all of that though, it is my first introduction to one of Christie's best written characters, which is Miss Ariadne Oliver, who is basically, if Christie wrote herself in a book, she's 10 out of 10 incredible. I love her. For this, Cards on the Table gets a good time 4-star territory. It's just a really enjoyable read. I really liked it. And Ariadne Oliver stan till I die. Then we have Dumb Witness. Dumb Witness follows Poirot, who gets a letter from a woman saying that she is fearing for her safety. And by the time Poirot gets to see her, she's already dead. And he's like, no, I let this woman down. Even though, like, Bestie, how are you supposed to know? Someone delayed that letter. Do you know what I mean? Cut yourself some slack. Everybody thinks that the dog, her, like, the family dog, is the reason that she's dead because she is fallen down the stairs. No, that's wrong. She fell down the stairs, which had her fearing for her life. But everybody was like, it's the dog's fault. That's all it is. Don't worry. Everyone's blaming this dog. Spoiler, the dog didn't fucking do it. And whoever blames the dog is evil. But again, what's really good about this is really interesting toxic family dynamics, really interesting toxic marriage dynamics. It's, again, really good character writing. I wouldn't say it's the strongest mystery, but her characters in this are really good. So because of that, I am going to put it in good time 4-star territory. Shout out to Dumb Witness. Next, we have the ABC Murders, which is Christie's first proper serial killer novel. She does have murders where they commit like multiple murders, but this is like a serial killer novel. The reveal at the end is masterful. I remember reading it and being like, I'm really enjoying this. I hope she nails the ending. And then she blew my mind. And sometimes with Christie, I feel like I tend to guess the endings quite a lot. If not, she'll do such a plot twist, which is completely unlikable. And I'm like, you've ruined this book for me now because you felt like you needed a plot twist. That's shocking rather than just writing a good ending. But the ABC Murders gives me everything. Gives me shock, gives me a plot twist, but also makes sense to the narrative. It's about somebody that is killing random people, unconnected, whose last names are the first letter of the town that they live in. And Poirot is trying to figure out the connection and who this person is. And then there's like a B plot in it, which is really, really good. The ABC Murders has to go into 10 out of 10 no notes. There's a reason she's the queen of crime. And the ABC Murders is one of them. Like, it's incredible. Then we have The Big Four, which was originally a bunch of short stories written in a newspaper or a magazine that got smushed together through a novel. And I remember that Christie always said that her favourite books to write were like thrillers. I'll be completely honest with you. They're not worth your time. Sorry. No, that's a lie. That is a lie. This book isn't worth your time. I don't particularly love her thrillers. I think her strongest elements are her murder mysteries. She loves and thinks her strongest writing are thrillers. Christie and I will have to disagree on that one. The Big Four, not only is it incredibly racist and xenophobic, and with Christie, you're going to go in there and you're going to be thinking there's some offensive material in here a little bit. Unfortunately, as much of a Christie fan I am, she wrote at a very specific time for a middle-class white woman. Okay, she did not hold back. The Big Four is one of them. There's a Russian character, a Chinese character, an American character. Buckle in. Don't read it, in my opinion. But if you are going to, buckle in. And The Big Four goes into god-awful because not only is it, personally for me, not fun and exciting to read a racist, xenophobic book, it's also not a good book. It's also not good. Secondly, goes for Death on the Clouds. Actually, in my opinion, the worst book she's ever written. Death on the Clouds. Just putting it straight into god awful. Genuinely not worth your time. Death on the Clouds has a paragraph, basically a page where two characters who are falling in love talk about how much they have in common. And they do talk about hating fat women, hating specific races, and cats. And I just remember being like, oh, close. And it's not even a good mystery. Don't bother with Death on the Clouds. Like, I can appreciate when you read classics, regardless of what age, what year, what decade, whoever the person is. there are going to be certain content in classics that don't reflect modern times, I'd like to think, though some people have me questioning, but they don't reflect my morals and my values. And I'm a big fan of not erasing that, because we have to own up to our history. Next up, we have Lord Edgware Dies. Lord Edgware Dies follows the death of Lord Edgware, and everybody is blaming it on his ex-wife, who tried to get a divorce because she was seen on the night. But she's like, bitches, I was at a dinner that I was invited to, so I can't be in two places at once. Who's going to find out who killed my husband? I say ex-husband, they were separated, they weren't divorced. It's really good. And I recently watched the Suchet adaptation, and it was so much fun. Lord Edgware Dies is a low 10 out of 10 no notes. I for ages would consider it a good time 4-star territory, but upon watching the adaptation, it really made me appreciate it a lot more. So I'm actually going to put it in a low 10 out of 10 no notes. These aren't rated. These ones here, they're just being chucked up. But yeah, 10 out of 10 no notes for Lord Edgware Dies. Then we have Mystery of the Blue Train. Mystery of the Blue Train is going to go into cannot remember a single thing. I get confused between that and the short story that it's based on. I even look back at my review on Goodreads, and I could not really tell you much based on that either. So I remember it not being bad. I remember enjoying it to a certain extent, but this is very early on. Then we have the book that put Christie on the map. People think it's an early book. It's actually book 4, The Murder of Roger Ackroyd. That is the book that I think kind of boosted her to the status that, and then obviously you then afterwards have Murder on the Orient Express, ABC Murders, Death of No, yada yada yada. But Murder of Roger Ackroyd is what put her on the map. This is a very unassuming mystery. Like when you read about it, you're like, how is this meant to be like world ending? Oh my god, Christie's amazing, her brain. But trust me on it, it's really good. And what I think's hilarious is it's Poirot's like, I'm retiring guys, no big deal, don't mind me. I'm actually going to go solve a murder in a very complicated village mystery. It's so good. I literally can't say much, because to say anything about this book is to enter spoiler territory. It's so good. But I do remember I was coming back from work. I was on the train coming back from Bristol, and I was reading it, and I remember going, maybe this is the ending. Maybe this is the reveal. Maybe this is the murderer. And then turn that page and it was revealed. So I can't particularly say I guessed it, but I felt it in my soul. Like it hit me all at once. After that, we have Murder on the Links. Murder on the Links, I really enjoy. This is the second book that she brought out, which is set in the south of France with a death on a golf course. And back in like 2018 or 2019 was when I started my reread of the Hercule Poirot books. And Murder on the Links was actually the first book I read. I skipped The Mysterious Affair at Stars because I'd read it years ago and was like, I don't need to read that. Read Murder on the Links, fell in love with it. It's so good. Technical wise, I don't think it's a 10 out of 10 no notes, even though my heart loves it. So I'm going to put Good Time 4-star territory. It's a really solid book. I really enjoyed it. It's a bit convoluted, but I liked it nonetheless. Then we have Peril at End House. Peril at End House is set in Cornwall, and it follows a woman who, despite her being kind of, what's the word? Aloof about the whole thing and doesn't really take much seriousness to it. She just thinks, oh wow, I'm so accident prone. Poirot meets her, hears her story and goes, baby, those aren't accidents. Someone's trying to murder you. And she's like, no, I have loads of friends. Like, no one would want to murder me. What are you saying? And Poirot's like, okay, well, I really like you and I'm going to make sure you're okay. I think someone's trying to murder you and I'm going to figure out who that is before you die. And then crazy shit goes down. Peril at End House is the only Christie book I've read where I watched the adaptation first and loved the book just as much as the adaptation. In the Sushi adaptation, the main character is played by Lady Featherington, Penelope's mother from Bridgerton. Super fun. Peril at End House is genuinely incredible. It is, to this day, yet to be topped as my favourite Poirot book so far. I'm over halfway through reading these. Peril at End House is just 10 out of 10 incredible. It's like the 8th book that she wrote. It's so good. It's definitely more of an underrated book. I don't see a lot of people hyping it up. Peril at End House gets a 10 out of 10 no notes. Truly incredible work from Christie with this one. And finally, Three Act Tragedy is a book that took me, actually, the adaptation again, to appreciate it more. At first, when I read it, it was like a Good Time 4-star territory. I was like, yeah, this is good, I get it. Then watching the adaptation, I was like, this is 10 out of 10. No notes. Like, this is so good. Again, I will forgive certain convolutedness if I overall had a good time. And that's why sometimes watching the adaptations makes me appreciate the books more. Three-Act Tragedy follows the death of, I can't remember who it was, but somebody dies at this lord's... Oh, was he an actor? Somebody dies at this fancy, famous person's house, and they're poisoned, but the cup shows no poison. The liquid shows no poison, so they do not know how this person died. And Poirot is so trying to figure out how this person died. What I respect about Poirot is like, if something doesn't make sense, I am like a dog with a bone. I am going to figure out. I don't care how long it takes. But it's really, really good, and it's a really complex and interesting mystery, and the main characters in this are really interesting, and I just remember really enjoying it. I remember reading it and going, oh, this was fun, and then watching the adaptation was like, I didn't really appreciate Christie enough. So I am going to put a low 10 out of 10 no notes for Miss Three-Act Tragedy. And there we go, that is my ranked Hercule Poirot video. I am going to definitely do this when I have finished the series, which won't be for a couple of years, probably like 2028, I don't know. But I'm halfway through the novels. I'm really excited. I'm over halfway through. I think I might have 10 left, maybe? No, 10, 15 left. I try to read 3 a year. My next one I'm going to be reading is Five Little Pigs, which my all-time favourite Christie podcast, all about Agatha. That is their favourite book that they read of Christie's. So I'm really, really looking forward to it. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this fun, quick video. Please like and subscribe and all of that fun stuff. And yeah, thank you.